Alright, I'm back as usual, and let's get this curse broken, shall we? Yeah, today was pretty fortuitous. I came into this dungeon with the worst of expectations. I honestly expected to have a lot of situations where I would get my butt kicked, but as it turns out, this wasn't near as bad as I was originally expecting. What I was kind of expecting was for me to get my butt kicked and have to leave multiple times. Though, in a way, I was actually hoping for that so that I would have a couple more opportunities to waste on leveling up. Yeah, that didn't happen this time around, sadly. But that just means we're going to be able to progress farther into the storyline. Quite a bit, actually. Some pretty cool stuff is going to be happening lately. And now, observe. If we put the Vase of Life onto the pedestal and then immediately put the Magic Bean, this happens. Now, off the top of my head, I don't think anyone actually tells you about how to use the Magic Bean or the Vase of Life, so this part's kinda dickish. Also, I'm gonna name this title Finn and the Beanstalk because, well, we're climbing on a giant beanstalk. And I demonstrate the gimmick for this level. Huge water drops that you have to put on flower buds. As well as small leaves, as you'll see later on. This part can be a little annoying. And yes, I end up missing a couple of chests that are in this area, and I will be coming back for them later. But a good majority of this video is just going to be me going through the area. I know there's at least 2 items I missed. One I have to skip for the time being, and the other, well, I'll just have to come back for that one anyway. I'll probably get them both at the same time. Oh, the imp runs away, eh? 0 experience, 0 gold. Wonderful. Well, at least I'm not getting magic spammed. That's one thing, at least. And it has come to my attention that I have been completely ignoring my Lunar episodes. I don't really have any excuse for it. I have just noticed that I haven't been remembering to do them, and it's been, I think, at least 2 weeks, maybe 3. This is upload, probably even longer than that. I've been so busy with projects, I haven't even stopped to think about those. I do apologize for it. It's just, when I tend to get really obsessed with these projects, I tend to forget mostly everything else. That's always been a bad habit of mine, and I'm gonna try to change that, but I don't think I'll be very successful. I already have a short memory span, and there's not really much I can do about it, really. As far as this dungeon goes, this is what you're seeing is basically all I'm going to be doing for the longest time. However, you might see these little leaves. As you put water drops on them, they grow into bigger leaves, which actually is pretty helpful later on. Because you only have a few steps before you drop all the water that you're carrying, so... Oh, great. We have Mystic Fungus and Yetis. Oh, I do not like these guys. They're slow and have a slight ice magic attack, which is annoying, but they do have a weakness to fire. The Yetis especially are allergic to it. Mystic Fungus, however, has a great deal of health, so without magic, they won't be going down for a while. This will be a huge pain later. I've been really not doing all that much lately. I've been playing Shining Force Neo, for anyone who has played that. I find that game very awesome. It's a bit on the grindy side sometimes, and the difficulty needed to be a lot more balanced. Oh yes, I hate it when they want you to be precise on these water drops. And I do mean precise. Like, they give you just enough steps for this. And sometimes you have to be careful which water drop you actually use. But Naga is not fun. Not fun at all. Go away. I'm very lucky here. 3 of my people are faster than the Nagas. I was surprised by this, since they're pretty speedy as far as magic users go. Their kind become especially nasty later on in the game, but that's much later, really. But boy, I am not looking forward to that. I'm hoping I'm at a much higher level by then. In terms of leveling up, I'm not going to be getting that many levels for very much longer, because this is pretty much a part of the game where it's just a straight progression. You quickly move from one area to another. This happens because the areas at this point are pretty short. I think the place I'm in now is the worst place I'm going to be in for a while. And the places after this are pretty tiny in terms of exploration. I mean, they're more difficult, sure, but in terms of me actually being worried about getting killed, I rather doubt it. There are only a couple boss fights, too, that are really hard in the future, and they're just not threatening at all. Some boss fights are downright ridiculously easy. Some of the boss fights in this game are essentially just enemies you'll fight later on, but come at a much earlier point in the game. So they are just really hard enemies, essentially, and you can beat them in like 1 or 2 turns. I think that's another gripe people have with this game, is that in terms of really hard boss fights, there wasn't near enough of them. And I can relate, I suppose. I was pretty disappointed that, aside from maybe the water demon, none of the other dungeons really have very difficult bosses. As a matter of fact, a lot of times you'll face a boss rather quick in the preceding dungeons. You don't really see them at the end of a dungeon anymore, from this point on. At least none that I can recall. So I find that to be pretty... Okay, I take it back. Except for the final dungeon. But I think that's the only other example of there being another boss like the water demon. And that's at the end of the game. And I think by then it really doesn't matter. At least I don't think it does. I mean, I could be mistaken. There could be one I'm just not thinking about, but... I have a pretty good memory of the game, though, and I don't remember any other bosses that are like that, so... Pretty disappointing in that regard. This game also has kind of a weird difficulty curve. I think the biggest threat to the game comes at the beginning of the game, not so much towards the end. I think at that point, the enemies start to rely a lot more on the speed advantage, them being faster than you. If they don't have that, then they're pretty easy, because there's really nothing that will threaten you if you're faster than them. And all you really need is just 2 characters that are faster too. I mean, it doesn't really take all that much to win. I'm sure you'll see what I mean much later on. I don't really blame the game though, because the way this game is set up, there's really not much they could have done to make it that much harder. I mean, they could have given them more powerful magic, perhaps. Oh, and before I finish this, welcome to the Tower of Auron. It's taken us forever to get here, hasn't it? Well, we're here, so let's take care of the business at hand. To be perfectly honest, though, with as high speed as my characters have, I really don't think I need to worry all that much. Since I think the Nagas are the only speedy creatures left, and 3 of my people are faster than even them, so I really don't think I'm gonna have to feel threatened that much. I think the only thing that would have possibly changed this is if the Nagas were faster than me, and I met with a lot of them. Because one time, I can't remember if I've talked about this, I got into a fight with like 5 Nagas in here before, and my party was slower than all of them. Oh, this fight does not look fun. I was tempted to use Finn's magic in this fight, but I didn't think that'd be a good idea, because I thought I really would have had to escape in this place. And Nagas are also resistant against fire. Very disappointing, that. Thankfully, Critical got rid of one, and Fire Level 2 will get rid of the other. Yep. Okay, this fight's pretty much won then. I would not have liked it if the Living Armors would have used sleeping powder and the Nagas would have been still alive. That would have sucked. In retrospect, I think I should have paid more attention to killing off the Living Armors just because of that. Because there's no guarantee that the Nagas would die, and I really don't want my party falling asleep while they're raining magical death upon me, so that would have sucked. There's a chest that you can't get on your first visit through here because of how the gimmick of this stage affects the field. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. Until then, also, you might notice that the designers for this game went to a bit of liberties with the female characters, particularly with the way they're designed. They tend to be very fan-servicey, and there's not much censoring in this game. Heck, the Nagas have their breasts out in full open, and nothing covers them. Okay, there's a chest over there, if you look up to the right. I ignore it, because I already pretty much know I can't get it anyway. And why can't we get it? Oh, stupid battle. Yeah, most of the time the battles don't bother me, but I hate it when I'm trying to talk about something, and the battle just pops up and disturbs me. This happens to Royal Mithril too on his stuff. And we have a Siren Harpy. This thing is a pain, to say the least. It's about as defensive as the other harpies. However, there is one major difference. They know magic now. That is not cool. And they're also pretty resistant to magic, if I recall as well, so you're not gonna like these things. Heal Rain will be used a lot in here, I imagine. Anyways, have Annie heal up everyone real quick. And you see these moon blocks here. There are the same moon block pillars that would block the way to that chest you saw. And the gimmick of this place is essentially sun and moon corridors. If you walk through a sun corridor, then I believe the sun icon pillars will be down and the moon pillars will be up. If you walk through a moon corridor, the exact opposite happens. So the game pretty much forces you at this point to take the path that it wants you to take. And they find a way to make this really annoying later on. When I first played this dungeon, it took me freaking forever to figure out how I was supposed to solve it. If you've ever played a game called Ys, Book 1 and 2, YS is what it stands for. Yeah, they put a similar puzzle in that game as well. Though, admittedly, that game had a tendency to make all their dungeons annoying to go through, but I'll talk about that later. And they also block you from going in circles to make it even more annoying. Pay attention to the surroundings when you're out there, though, because you'll need to worry about that in the future. And when I say in the future, I mean in this dungeon, because there's something you're gonna need. And it's not exactly the most obvious thing in the world, which is why this place is so hard. Thankfully, I already know how to solve this dungeon, so I go through it pretty fast. This is why Yetis are annoying. They all know Ice Level 2, and they tend to appear in groups as well, which is annoying. There's really no difference, though, with Nagas and Yetis to me, because of my high speed. Nagas are usually faster, though. Now, technically, I think I could have went downstairs and got that item, but I don't know if they'll let you do that. They might reset the moon blocks if you go through stairs. I'll have to check on that. In the next episode, I will be going through this place again and getting the chest I missed, and then we'll be going back to Zaladin. Okay, you want to take this path over here. The game really doesn't force you to, but you're going to want to anyway. Because there's a small hammer down there. It's not very noticeable, but you will need this to actually complete this dungeon. So be sure that you pick that thing up. I think me and my grandma, when we played this when I was younger, I think she's the one that actually accidentally found the hammer, and I didn't even know it was there. And we didn't know what to do with the thing. I mean, we had a small little guide, but we didn't have any real strategies for beating the dungeons. All it did was basically give dungeon maps. And the hammer wasn't really on the map at all. It just showed the map of the sun and moon pillars and how we were supposed to go in the different corridors. But because the hammer wasn't on it, we didn't know we needed it, So we originally thought it was maybe just a weapon for Samson or something. But no, it's a special item. The reason we didn't know we had to use it is because of the way you have to use it. And it is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. You don't have to go in here either, but you're gonna want to. Why? You don't want to go in that door. That's the last thing you want to do. There's a small hole right there. And you have to use the hammer on that small tiny hole. That's not very noticeable at all. And you're supposed to fall down. If you fall down here, you can actually complete the rest of the dungeon. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck. So, nice to know that, I guess. Aside from that, the rest is pretty clear sailing. And I have so many mage potions that I never use anymore. The only reason I used any in the last dungeon was because of the boss, really. I didn't really need one to get through the dungeon itself. Yeah, you can't go that way, so you have to go upstairs. Yeah, you have to go down, not around. If you try to go around, you're just gonna get stopped. Oh great, 2 of these freaks. Wonderful. I tried to see if they're weak against fire, but I don't think they are. Let's find out. Oh, they are weak versus fire. I stand corrected. Not that that matters, because I'm gaining enough criticals to take them out. Oop, never mind. They're not weak versus ice, but it does the job anyway. I'll be so glad to get this curse off of him. Because even though it's not the worst thing in the world, it is quite a nuisance though, because I feel like through this part of the game I only have 4 characters. Since all Samson can do is attack, and he can't even do that very well right now, so that's a pain. Thankfully that will soon be no longer a problem. Which is great. As a matter of fact, I think this is the last floor that has enemies on it. I think we've yet to see a Razor Demon, but they're essentially the next upgrade of the gargoyles, and so essentially no magic. Quite a pain, that is. But they're not that big of a deal. And I use Heal Rain because I can. And I believe that's it. The rest is examining these 3 colored stones. Gem of the Elders recovers everyone's MP. Gem of Vitality heals everyone's BP and LP, even though it doesn't say so. Nice to be fully healed, doesn't it? And now plot. Alright. Let's see just what happened. Yeah, we better do that. Hopefully he's better now. Awesome stuff! Ha ha ha! There you go, Xeon. Yeah, I need to talk about this. I don't know why, but depending on the level you are, when you actually break Simpson's curse, he'll either say that you need to hurry and save Zelagoon, or he'll just say that Samson broke the curse himself. This obviously is bunk, considering his condition, so I'm assuming it was a mistranslation. Or he's just talking about his stats, but the curse really affected more than his stats, it affected his condition as well. So Xeon still helped quite a bit. Also, getting rid of the curse has given Samson his plot strength again as well, which is helpful. So now we can go back to Zelagoon. But first, there's something we need to do. Get Samson in the back of the front row for starters. And second of all, there's this chest over here in the corner. The Wind Cloak. This is a pretty helpful piece of equipment for the magicians. Not only is it a defense upgrade, but it also increases their speed by 2. And it's probably going to stay on them the rest of the game, since I find speed more important than defense anyway. And Edward needs speed more, so I'm giving it to him. You'll be able to buy this later on, so it's not that big of a deal who you give it to. I do remember it being kind of pricey though, so keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm going back to town to get a couple of things. One, I need to go to the inn. Well, actually, now that I think on it, no I didn't. Those gems fully healed me, so this was actually pretty pointless. Oh well, it's just 50 gold. It's not that big of a deal, really. Besides, I'm pretty sure they're tired after all that. I know I would be. However, I still have a bit of time left in this video, so I'm going to go ahead and go through the next area. I probably could have went ahead and stopped here, but I try to make the most of my time. Considering how long this game already is. I know I go back to the temple, but I end up going back. Since there is a chest I missed the first time through here. It actually had a pretty good item. You'll see what that is in a second. I don't think I would have ever used it, mind you. But it would have been nice to have it for some extra cash by selling it. While Zeon may be the first mage to master both white and black magic, he's not the most powerful sorcerer out there, though. No, there's one far greater. We won't be seeing him for a while, though. Also, you don't really see much of Zeon after this. He's basically served his purpose as far as the plot goes, which is very disappointing to me, since he's a pretty awesome character. Ah, it's this chest I missed. Tempest Jewel. I believe this increases everyone's defense and agility during battle. It's pretty useful, but I'm not going to get a whole lot of use out of that, because my speed is high enough as it is. And I think I've proven by this point that you don't really need any exploits in order to be successful at this game. It just means that the difficulty is going to be ranked a little higher. Is this a bad thing? Not necessarily. I found using exploits the game is actually a lot easier than it should be. Especially later on in the game. Oh yes, trust me, this game can be made very easy if you do indeed exploit it. Also, one thing that a lot of people complain about as far as this part of the game goes is, despite how good Samson was throughout this part of the game, at this level, at this point in the game, I mean, his levels don't really give out as much stats as they used to. As a matter of fact, I think I usually get 1 to 2 strength from his levels at this point. Which means he's not becoming the powerhouse like he used to be. And the other characters are catching up pretty fast. This doesn't change until much later on in the game. So he's really lost his edge from every other class. I mean, let's face it. He's not all that much stronger than everyone else, and their classes give some sort of bonus. Finn gets a decent strength amount from each level, and he has spells like healing and attack magic, as well as support like escape magic. And Annie has a myriad of healing techniques, as well as heal rain, which heals everyone. And Taunt and Edward have powerful magic at their side. Samson really falls a bit short. Again, I think this goes back to the balancing issues this game had, but overall, I think it's one of the things people notice most as they play through the game. And as a result, if anyone is going to be switched out, it's usually Samson. And I have to say, I'm no exception to this rule. I mean, I'm sorry. I really do respect the guy. I mean, he's a loyal soldier, and he is trying his best, but there's just nothing special about him, really. I'm sorry, it's true. I mean, he's just one of those characters that gets kind of shafted a bit. I think the most he has to depend on is the fact that his weapons and armor give out more than the other weapons usually do. But is that really enough to redeem him as a character? Not really. Other characters really do have other advantages, especially later on in the game. When you get what I like to call the super characters. I'll get into what those are later, as to not spoil too much. But the super characters are indeed pretty awesome. And I think Samson, actually ends up with the least potential. So that's kind of lame. I mean, not to say you can't use him and be successful. I mean, far from it. You could use him as much as anyone else. He's just not an ideal choice if you're going for proficiency here. I think I'll go into a rundown later on of all the different characters and what their advantages are. Oh look, Bandor soldiers blocking our way. I picture a fight coming up. No more important, really. If you say no, then they act all cocky about it. However, if you say you want to fight them, then we get into an actual boss fight. There are a couple of Bandor archers, and they're a bit on the tough side. You remember the weak Bandor soldiers from way back? Those don't exist anymore. All of the Bandor soldiers do a great deal of damage. And these have a lot of HP for being a normal enemy. I believe each one has 600 to 700 VP. They are grouped, so spells work wonders on these guys. But you have to take a lot of punishment before they go down. And if they concentrate on the same character, then that character can be taken from full VP to 0 pretty fast. So there is a great deal of danger involved with this fight. Because of how long it takes, you want to preserve your magic as much as possible. Fire Drake and Thunder are probably your best choices. And be sure to have Annie healing every turn, since they are pretty speedy themselves. I think Taunt is the only one faster than them right now. Thankfully, Bandor soldiers in the future aren't really that tough. So that's good. Aside from that, this is pretty a straightforward fight. I will say there is a bit more danger involved with this one than the Water Demon, if you come with full stats. The only thing that makes them not as threatening is that the enemies in here don't really make you try all that hard. Actually, they're from way back, so you shouldn't have to use magic at all. So you can get to these guys with pretty much all your stuff. That was not the case with the Water Demon, though. You had to make sure that you had lots of Mage Potion on hand, so you could be refreshed for that fight. So if you were caught off guard, then you would probably find these guys a lot easier. And I honestly wouldn't blame you. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this fight. Just keep up the damage until you beat them, really. And it's not that hard either. Even low-level teams can go through these guys pretty fast. Heal rain isn't really necessary. it just helps keep you healthier and makes it to where you're not as dependent on your LP. If you're going through here without heal rain and you're at a low level, then one or two characters might actually end up dead by the end. Especially since they're most likely to be faster than everyone. So healing would be almost impossible. Still, it's not all that bad. I think there are bosses later on that are much worse than these guys. And I think this is probably the easiest boss fight you'll probably fight in the game, next to the technical enemy group bosses, which I'll get into those later. Let's see. After this, I'll pretty much be stopping the video at Zalagoon. I think. I might march all the way back to Ophira and save there, if I have enough time to spare. We will see. I can't remember if I decided to do that or not. It wouldn't matter either way. It's a pretty short walk to Ophira. And after that, I just have to march up the Tower of Orin, get those last two items, and then go back to Zalagoon. I might off-screen getting to the chest, though, and just run from the fights. Because, honestly, I want to get as much progress in the next couple of vids as I can. Because I'm pretty sure there's going to be level grind of Destiny of sorts that I'm going to be doing very soon. Yeah, that's a pain. I don't know what I'm going to do when I have to resort to that. I thought about basically showing me fighting a whole lot, and then I'm going to really speed up the footage and have cool music playing in the background. At least that's what I have planned for it. I don't know what the rules are on Blip of using copyrighted music, but I'm going to try it once and see what happens. I think as long as I'm doing something productive, they don't really care. Like, as long as it's under fair use, I'm sure it's fine. But we'll have to see. Sometimes they're kind of weird about it. Mind you, I don't think people care all that often if you're doing it for entertainment purposes. So, for the most part, it's gotta be fine, I'm sure. I won't have to do that for a little while, though, because the levels I have right now are probably going to be good enough for the next couple of areas, at least. I don't know how long I'm actually going to have to level up, to be honest. Since, you don't need to be that high of a level to have access to the super characters. I think you need to be... I know you can do it as early as level 20, getting to the part of the game with the super characters. However, you're recommended to really do it at level 25. And I'm actually pretty close to there as it is, so I won't need to do all that much. I'm pretty thankful for that too, because rampant leveling in this game later on can be quite annoying. I've heard people say you should not do the super character thing until at least level 28. There are a couple reasons why they say that is, but To be honest, not only do I not want to do that because, well, it takes freaking forever to get that high, but second of all, if you do that, your characters are mad strong by the time you get to the super characters. And like I said, this game really isn't all that hard, so you don't even need to do that. As a matter of fact, like, as easy as this game can get sometimes, I'm pretty sure you could probably do it as early as level 21 or 22 and still not get a lot of challenge out of it. It really depends on your playing style and the stats you get from leveling up. I mean, geez, right now, I already feel extremely overpowered, and, like, I'm not that far into the game. Not all I considered. Now, if you go up here, we get a message from someone. Yeah. Oh, jeez. How did I know something like this was gonna happen? Yeah, that guy didn't look very trusting. Mind you, I don't know what Sir Bison McQueen are doing against all of this. You'd think they'd have something to say on the matter, but I guess they're following the rule of obedience here. Then again, surrendering to Bandor pretty much means they control everything at this point. So, honestly, I'd speak up anyway. I mean, there's just too much at stake for people to be concerned about roles, you know? Especially considering, like, just how evil Bandor is right now. Surrendering to them would essentially mean you'd be dooming the entire world. I mean, it's not like there would be anyone at this point that could pretty much save them. I mean, we're strong, yes, but we can't take on an army by ourselves. We'd get our butts kicked. And just like I thought, I decided to march towards Ophira again. I know the kid said we should hurry up and help out Zalagoon, but time will wait for us while we do a small side quest. So it's not that big of a deal. Plus, one of the items I'm getting in here will help a lot with what I have to do next. It is very nice. It's not something I couldn't get later, but I'd rather have it now. Especially since it'll save me a lot of money. You won't see what it is till next video though, because I am virtually out of time. As a matter of fact, I'm almost at Ophira now. And now we're back at Ophira. I don't really need the inn. I do sell a couple of things, and then I pretty much stop here. Sorry I didn't have many interesting things to say. Things have been kind of boring lately. And I, of course, buy some H potion. Because why not? I got plenty of money right now. And I won't need to spend it for quite a while. I still have so much money. Also, I need to use those sources. I've had them for quite a while. Yeah, with the amount of lead push I have, I don't think I'm going to need to worry at all. I'm giving all these to Edward because he needs them the most right now. I hold on to the Source of Vitality because I know of a character that's going to really need it later on, so that's one thing. And that'll be all, everyone. See you guys next time.